Today is a cloudy October 20th, 2020. I'm out here in Pennsylvania getting some Norfolk Southern action around Altoona and certain locations east of Altoona. Right now it's about 9:30 in the morning. We're at Fostoria, Pennsylvania, a few miles east of Altoona on the triple track. It's triple track east from Altoona as far as Gray Interlocking, west of Tyrone. There used to be a signal bridge here, but they've all been torn down. The only signals that still are in existence are at interlockings. Well, there's the foundation of the old signal bridge. Where the signals once stood, these signal indication point boxes have popped up. They provide some signals for the cab signals on the locomotives. The mileage designates the mileage from Philadelphia, 227.8. I'm not alone here. Got a westbound coming at 9:55 a.m. Interesting high and wide load. Had an AC44 C6M and an ES44 AC on the point. .10:05, that was an eastbound local powered by a couple of classic GP38-2s. He goes as far east as needed, usually past Huntington, sometimes out to a sand pit east of Huntington. That local freight that went by was the C42. The C stands for the Pittsburgh division. C42 is a turn from Altoona to Lewistown. Might see him coming back west later today. The old Conrail symbol for that local was the WHAL46. AL designates the origination point of Altoona. And at 10:10. Eastbound Pennsylvania en route from Pittsburgh to New York. His next stop will be in a few minutes at Tyrone. The full foliage out here, from what I've seen so far, is quite vibrant. It's the best I've seen it in years. I'm told higher up on the mountain, west of town, it's even better. Starting tomorrow, Indian summer will begin. This area had a frost last weekend. It was down to 30 degrees. And when it gets warm after the first frost, well, I don't know if that was the first frost, but I know they did have one. That is called Indian summer. Tomorrow it's supposed to go up into the upper 70s. Got a westbound coming at 10:47. empty hopper train likely heading towards the Monongahela coalfields. They're not quite as plentiful as they used to be on this line. Well, it's indeed been a most entertaining hour here. We're now further east at Tipton, Pennsylvania, site of Del Grasso's amusement park, Altoona's fun place. As you can see, milepost 226 is in a very scenic spot. Eastbound stack train 1133. And that's one of the hottest trains on NS through here, 20W, en route from Chicago and Western connections to Croxton Yard in New Jersey. And if you're wondering where your next FedEx shipment is going to come from, it may be on that train right now. And we got another one of those SIP boxes here at the road crossing at Tipton, SIP 225.8. Hope to get another train at least here at Tipton. By the way, if you're in the supermarket and you see a bottle of Del Grasso's pasta sauce on the shelf, it was made right here at Del Grasso's Food Products. It's the largest family-owned pasta sauce business in the United States. We're now further east at the Tyrone Area Historical Society building, which is built to resemble a train station. Tyrone History Museum. Tyrone once had a substantial train depot here, but it's become insignificant over the years, especially in the Amtrak era. For the longest time, it just had a short platform and a little shelter. Now they're getting a new station here, but just another modern shelter and a modern platform. And here at Tyrone on display you have a couple of nice looking cabooses. And where I'm standing is the temporary Amtrak platform at Tyrone, served by the Pennsylvania each way. And over by the road crossing is the new station that's being built. Note the small shelter. Not exactly Grand Central Terminal here. We're just west of the road crossing by the Tyrone station. Twos are wild here. 222.2 miles from Philadelphia. Another signal indication point, although I don't recall a signal ever being here. And here at Tyrone, the old Pennsylvania Railroad Bald Eagle branch goes off. That heads up north towards Milesburg, Bellefonte. Today it's the property of the Nittany and Bald Eagle Short Line. And we got two hot westbound trains due. 21E from Morrisville, Pennsylvania to Willow Springs, Illinois, and 21J out of Harrisburg to Chicago. Westbound at 120. That's one of the hottest trains on this line. Under Conrail, it used to be Mail 9, but it's evolved to be a much longer train. 21E used to be a shorter train of UPS trailers and containers. Now it's been filled out with additional double stack containers as part of precision scheduled railroading. 21J, another hot shot, should be right behind them. Approaching at 1:29 p.m. is another hot train, an eastbound 22W. Runs from Chicago to Rutherford Yard, east of Harrisburg. At a meeting of hotshots, 21J was the westbound, and you can see 22W heading east. Nowadays, a lot of railroads don't carry trailers on flat cars. Mostly double stack containers are the norm. But NS is still heavy on trailers. And this little out of the way place is Plummer's Hollow Crossing. It's a private crossing just east of Tyrone in a Sylvan setting. Just east of here is an S-curve where there used to be a signal bridge. Only trains, only trains. I hope that's permitted. 45, this eastbound snuck up on me. Loaded crude oil train, perhaps, headed for New Jersey. Lead unit was SD70 ACE 1113 with a ES44 AC. And that engine had a beautiful K5 LLA horn. Right near the Plummer's Hollow Road crossing is this neat old structure. This is a bridge that was built, long since abandoned. It's built in 1890 for the Lewisburg and Tyrone Railroad. It's a bridge to nowhere now. Crosses over the Little Juniata River. Span of 205. train 23Z en route from Croxton to Chicago. Had a lot of UPS containers on them. Part of the afternoon westbound hotshot fleet. You'll notice some of these trains have a lot of empty flat cars on them. Double stack flats. Trailer on flat car flats. It's early in the week. It's only a Tuesday. And usually the East End terminals have a lot of empty intermodal flats that they have to bring back west for eastbound loads later in the week. It's a common sight early in the week. As the week progresses, you'll see less and less of them. 221, another K5 LLA. Beautiful. That was a pretty short manifest to have a DPU on it, but he had another SD70 ACE leader with that beautiful K5 LLA horn. It's about the sweetest sounding horns on railroads these days, although there are others. One sideline regarding the Norfolk Southern motive power scene today. The railroad got a fleet of SD70M-2s, over 100 of them, delivered around 2005, 2006, 2007, thereabouts. And they've all been sidelined or retired. And yet they still run quite a few of those GE C44-9Ws around, which are much older. I'd rather you get rid of those and bring the EMDs back. Again with the K5 LLAs at 248. No complaints. Well, Plummer's Hollow Road has been K5 LLA heaven. That's 3 of them I've gotten here. What a wonderful sound. Not sure what the symbol was on that eastbound, but I bet you JB Hunt is smiling from heaven looking at that one. We're now well further east. We're in Barrie, Pennsylvania, just west of Petersburg. This is the Barrie Straight Line. It's about the straightest piece of track on this former Pennsylvania Railroad Middle Division. This is a beautiful spot on the Pittsburgh line, very peaceful. I can definitely tell you who the people in this town are not going to vote for on election day. That box is signal indication point 212.1. We're just east of CP Tunnel interlocking and the Spruce Creek tunnels. Should have 21M, a hot shot from Croxton to Chicago coming through. The identifying feature of that train today will be one of those DC to AC commemorative units, the blue unit. Westbound coming down the straight line at 3:38 p.m. This isn't 21M. Westbound empty hoppers, not all the power was operational. And we got an eastbound at 3:48. I just heard him call out the signal at CP Tunnel. Those are the only signals they call out anymore these days. Home signals. Colorful concept of international containers for steamship companies. Particularly noteworthy are those pink ONE containers. Ocean Express, powered by a couple of C-44-9Ws. They were delivered to the railroad in the late 1990s, early 2000s, and they're still running where the SD-70M-2s which were delivered almost 10 years later, are not. Time is 4:06. We got a westbound. Looks like he's got a lot of trailers on him. This might be 21M. If it is, he'll have one of those commemorative DC to AC units on it. Intermodal action here. The westbound 21M was not a very long train. He only had 2 engines, but as the week progresses, that train will get much longer, and he'll usually have maybe up to 4 locomotives. You'll notice he had a lot of empty cars in the back, as I explained early in the week. You see a lot of those. It's an imbalance of cars, mainly. They have to get them to the west end of the system. Eastbound train was train 20Q from Chicago to Morrisville, Pennsylvania, loaded with domestic containers. The last place I'm going to visit is the scenic private crossing at Warriors Ridge, Pennsylvania. It's about 4 miles west of Huntington. Beautiful, quiet spot. Beautiful Juniata River Valley. You can hear the river flowing in the background. Got an eastbound approaching at 4:30. Short train had a solid set of GEVOs, 2 ACs, and in the middle were 2 DCs, ES44 versions. That last eastbound, the first 3 units were ES44 DCs, and the trailing 4th unit was an ES44 AC. It had a horn on it that sounded more like an ES44 AC. The DCs had entirely different sounding horns. 452, I can hear another eastbound approaching, and in the distance to the east, the westbound Pennsylvania is coming, but he's had some PTC problems. He's been getting restricting indications on the PTC, and the dispatcher told him to cut it out. That was the biggest train I've seen today. That was 18G en route from Conway to Oak Island, New Jersey. The train's identified by having a long cut of auto racks on the back. Those are going to be headed for Doremus Avenue in Newark, New Jersey.
.7. Track 1. No defects. You're a walk on nearby detector. You running only 1 unit, is that correct, though? Yeah, 1 unit on the head end, and then I have my DP unit online. Roger. Looks like you need to go manual. That one that seems to be messing up pretty good then, over. Norfolk Southern, milepost 206.7. Track 1, no defects.
Sounds like trains.
I got that, okay to run manual.
Sounds like trains are having problems, both of them. Trains are having problems. The Amtrak was having problems with the PTC. Even with clear signal indications in the field, it would still get a restricting on the PTC. So the dispatcher told him to cut out the PTC, and you saw he went through here a bit faster than restricting. He was picking up speed. And that eastbound freight only had 2 engines working, the lead unit and the DPU, for that long consist. So I don't know what the problem was with that, but not a good night for train crews.